Hi.
Friday. Live.
We're live now.
Hello. We're live. We're here.
Friday.
We usually do it on Fridays, right? So, yeah. June 2nd?
Mm-hmm. June 2nd.
Friday, June 2nd, second day of the GT3 RS giveaway. Mm-hmm. It started last night, or 2 nights ago at midnight. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, go to obsessgarage.com, buy some stuff, get a chance to win the old stinky old 2011 GT3 RS. People were yelling at me, there's not enough choice. I was planning on buying a Milwaukee Polisher. Well, Milwaukee Polisher has like 8% margin, so that's not happening. People have a hard time understanding that you can't just give away $300,000. Like, if you make $300,000 in a month, you can't give away $300,000. It doesn't work that way. You have to generate additional $300,000 with some other stuff. And what most people will do, because most of the people participating are people who support us, right? They buy stuff from us all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I would say at least 50, 60% of the entries are going to be people that are regularly buying stuff. And so I can't just have those people that normally regularly buy stuff just buy the regular stuff they were going to buy regularly, and then we give away a $300,000 car. I need the people, those 60%, 70% of our normal customers, to buy something extra in order to do this extra thing. And then we also need the other 40% of people that aren't buying anything. And those 40% of people that aren't buying anything are the ones mostly that are arguing to say, look, well, I wanted to buy a pressure washer, and maybe they weren't going to buy a pressure washer otherwise, so they do have a point, but it doesn't work. It just can't do that. I know if you were thinking about it simply, you say, well, if you just sell more stuff, then you would make more money. But it doesn't really equate because the vast majority of the people that participate in it are regular customers already. If it was just a giveaway of a bunch of randos, a bunch of newbies that don't buy anything from us, then sure, it'd be a way to sort of hopefully we can sell more than we would have without the giveaway, and we can just sell anything and everything. But doesn't work.
Yeah, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with that on a previous giveaway, including a lot of detailing products and such, and cannibalized our. Yeah,
we didn't sell any detailing products for like 3 months afterwards, because everybody bought up all the detailing that they would need. And then we were screwed, and then all that profitability went to just pay the car off, and we didn't make any money on that particular category, which is a large percentage category of our what we do. So anyway, there's many ways to do it. Lots of cool stuff. There's 75 different things each week. We have another couple of items we'll introduce. Some of them we just wanted to be sure that we can, we can get delivered in time, within reasonable order. And we also have, you can become a member if you become a new member. The reason why we don't do old members is because there's just no way for the software to capture it. And so, we're not trying to be like AT&T where, all new subscribers get all kinds of deals.
They get the good deals.
Yeah. And that's not what the attempt is. The attempt is, well, I'd love everybody to be able to do it, but it's not everybody who's already a member. The only way to include this is to have new members. And then you can do digital entry, which helps me the most, by the way. If you buy a digital entry, it doesn't cost, other than the transaction fees, there's no associated cost with the digital entry. So you're essentially buying a digital raffle ticket or a digital place in line. So when you do that, it's super helpful to us because that's a, let's say, 95% profitable thing versus if you bought a cutting board, we make like 30% profit. And so you spent more money. Let's say you spent $1,000 at a 30% profit margin versus buying $500 worth of digital entries. The $500 digital entry gets us $490 profit, whereas the $1,000 thing gets us $300 in profitability. So, and that profitability is what's going to pay the loss, which is the cost of the car. And then the hope is that we have more profit than we had in expense. So I need to generate, about $1 million worth of products at 30% margin in order to just pay for the car. that's excluding the the humans, all the work that I'm paying Bryce's salary and Tommy's salary and Chris's salary and my salary and Waba's salary, all the people that have contributed, Nick and everybody here has touched some of it, the shipping people, the whole shipping team, so the tech support team that has to then support your questions on things. And so really we have to generate quite a bit of extra over and above just to even break even on something like this. And so it's worked largely well for us, and it also hard to equate how many new customers, how many new eyeballs you get when you do something crazy like this. But it's really the whole root of this thing is for me to get a car that I'd like to own or experience, over improve it. It's kind of like over building your house, right? Building it too nice, putting too much unique stuff in it, and then you lose all that money because no one's willing to pay for it. Well, same thing with a car. I put a $13,000 Dundon exhaust on it, and sure, the next guy would love to have that, but he's not going to want to pay for it. And so this is a way for me to over improve and then get the car, get out from underneath the car, and then have all the other added benefits of the promotion, the new eyeballs, the new people that become customers, all that kind of stuff.
That's good. You addressed some of the early questions we had here from people. Rob, we'll go into a little more detail. Going to order some press-alls and towels today. You mentioned in yesterday's video about more product being added to the giveaway. Any insights on what is coming in the pipeline?
Yeah, don't get too excited. It's not active pressure washers and Milwaukee polishers. It's not; those don't have enough profitability to even scratch a dent in what we would need. And we need to sell those normally in order to survive, to pay the bills and to pay salaries and to make videos, do all that stuff. So we have, I have a couple more little detailing packages. We have
got skate decks.
The skate decks are coming. We have the render of the car. Mm-hmm. We're going to have some prints, some authenticated prints of the painting that Samantha did for me. We have the OG signature scent will be launched here. So you better, I don't know how many of you will be interested in that, but we have that coming. And then, a few other things, but it's not going to be, the custom install pressure washing system, because one, the margins aren't good enough on that to do, and we need to sell those regularly. And so it'll be a few more tchotchkes here and there, but I think we have like maybe 8 weeks, maybe like 15 more things that'll be added.
Yeah, so Rob, just wait a couple weeks. You can.
The only disadvantage to waiting is that if you actually want to get it, and the people who order early will get the shirts first, the hats first, the merch first. They'll get everything first, because what we do is we order let's say we order 30% of what we think we're going to sell, or what we hope we're going to sell, and then we get that 30% in. So we order that ahead of time, and then we hope to get to 100%. And so then we'll order another 30, another 30, another 10, another 10 as we approach the end of the giveaway. But when we order things, there's a lead time. And so those who order early usually get their stuff shipped within days or hours. The other thing you have to bear with us, we literally have just flipped the entire organization on its head, in that we've made a complete transition from our software platform that deals with all of our back end, all of our shipping and inventory, to a much more sophisticated system. Like any CRM, any client relationship management software, any inventory management software, you only get out of it what you put into it. And so we're in the input stage of it now, and you start to find, when things are live, you find all kinds of errors and all kinds of adjustments and things that need to be made. And so the whole team here has been running around like crazy too. And then I'm testing the limits of the system by doing a giveaway, and so just bear with us as we get back to our old levels of efficiency, but 2x that, and so the purpose of spending the money and really improving the software is to really ramp up the efficiency of the team. So instead of doing 200 or 300, 400 orders a day, we can do 1,000 or 2,000, and so that we can really crank up. So like when Black Friday comes, it takes us 2 days to catch up, not 2 weeks. and the software is going to have a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and to that point, Matt Duffy here in the chat says, where'd he go? Shout out to the warehouse team. Got my giveaway tchotchkes already. Now, he is in Florida. He's close. But, yeah, they get those orders out pretty quickly.
Yeah, so the earliest, but they're at like maybe 50% capacity of what they were, if that, because software glitches. Also, don't be afraid if it says reserve your spot. We're going to have this stuff rolling in. So don't be afraid to add things to your cart and purchase things that are in stock, out of stock. The one thing we will suggest, though, with giveaways is, when you're doing your giveaway purchase, do it, separately from your main. Like if you're going to order a bunch of cabinets or something like that, it'll just be cleaner. You'll get it much quicker if we do it that way than if it's attached to some big giant order of like your flooring or something like that.
Southern Motoring Solutions says, I'm going to try to stop by OG on my way home from vacation late this month. I need some supplies. I promise I won't bring up my Snap-on tool obsession. Matt, what have you found for good general use flashlights?
All the Phoenix stuff, Fenix, they have 100 different flashlights. I find them to be really great, and I like the PD35. It's small, compact. It's great as a detailing flashlight as well. But they have all kinds of different, they're generally anodized aluminum, but the Phoenix line of flashlights I think are pretty sweet. I'm sure there's some others out there that I'm unaware of, but I've always bought the Phoenix. I have 2 at home, 2 here, 2 in Helen, and I just kind of use those whenever I need a flashlight.
AFH wants to know, how has the Rivian been? Has it replaced the Raptor as the daily family hauler?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, Michelle drives that thing like 90% of the time. It's kind of like the Raptor's become the football-only hauler, So I'd say she's driving, 2/3, 1/3, and really digs it, It's great for around town, which is what she's doing 90% of, because then you can just charge it every night. She never gets below like 50% charge because she's tooling around, or if you're going to go to Ocala or Orlando or something like that, it seems to be doing great.
Yeah, what's the range on that thing?
It's like 300 miles.
Let's see. Dan Pfeiffer says, how does Rupes DA Course compare to Jescar Correcting Compound? I'm looking for something with slightly more cut than Jescar, but I don't think I need to go all the way to Cut Max.
I would say it's darn near equal, depending on the paint system, to Cut Max. In many ways, it's more aggressive than Cut Max. And on some systems, I've found it to be more aggressive. It finishes down really nicely on most paints, except for the Brewster. So really, really like finicky or softer paints. The Course is a little bit too aggressive, I think. That's where Jescar comes in really handy. But it's a good go-to to have in your arsenal. I think it's a really nice polish. Smells like fireballs, like the fireball
cinnamon candies.
Yeah.
Huh. Steve Rose wants to know: will the Koch clay bar remove some white specks that I found all over the car?
It might, if the specs are kind of a. You might need a tar remover if it's like tree sap or something like that, but you probably need a combination of both. But that's what the clay bar is there for, to remove the surface contamination. So it might help. And oftentimes stuff like that, gunky stuff like that, you use Tarex first and then follow with the clay bar. The clay bar can be quite a bit more aggressive than like an auto scrub, like a synthetic pad.
Let's see. Super Chat, $4.99. Joseph Stanley wants to know, hey, Matt, what is a good headphone I can use for traveling, especially on planes?
My favorite is the Apple AirPod Max. So I have a bunch of them. I have the Sennheiser, what's Sennheiser version? I forget what they're called. I have the Focal, whatever they're called. Focal something or other.
Dolly?
No, I have the Dolly, Dolly i6s. And then I have the AirPod Max. The AirPod Max to me are the most comfortable, especially if you're on like a cross-nation flight. They're comfortable in your ears. Like even these, what are these? I forget what brand these are. Yeah, the standard sort of Audio-Technica, as my ears start sweating. The Apple, I just think is the best, especially if you have an iPhone. But the thing with Apple, you got to make sure if you're going on like a Delta flight or something, if it doesn't have Bluetooth connectivity, you want to hook it up to the you have to get the Lightning to 1/8" connection. So you have to get the little headphone wire that they sell specifically for it. But those are my favorite. I don't like the focals at all. They're too bright. Give me like that tinny headache gives me. The dollies are my second favorite. I think those are like $400. And they're nowhere near as nice as the Apple ones. And then the Sennheisers, the ones I've had the longest. Can't really go wrong with them, but they're my least liked ones out of that group. The Sennheisers I think sound better than the focals, but the focals are quite a bit nicer quality. But you're talking $400, $500, $600 headphones with those. Those ones. Those are the ones that I have for Bluetooth. I mean, I've had Beats and stuff in the past, but the AirPod Maxes are, I think, so much better.
Let's see. Boxster22 wants to know, does Matt have any recommendations on products to care for convertible tops?
There's two main companies. There's the Rag Top, I believe. It's yellow, RAGG, I think it is, Top. They have a whole line of products. Yeah, there it is. Rag, RAGG.
TOPP.
Real catchy. So they have a line of products. I've never used them, but I'm assuming, that they're going to be decent. But I've always used just normal, like, all-purpose cleaner on it, and then followed with Aerospace 303 protectant is what I used to use on my S2000, and that I know works and works well.
All right, let's talk food here for a second.
Oh, okay.
From
cool.
Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Old news. So forgive me if I've missed your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on Ruth's Chris Steakhouse being bought by the owner of Olive Garden?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Darden
Restaurants. Yeah.
That's probably not a good thing. I don't know.
I can get some breadsticks at Ruth's Chris.
I like Ruth's Chris.
Huh.
It's one of my favorite restaurants. It's not too high end, that it's unattainable. Like, you don't have to go in there and spend $200. You can go in there and spend like $50 a person, $80 a person, and get some legit deliciousness. I like the ribeyes. It's just a good place. I wish we had one here.
Let's see. Tim Simmeryuk says, at what point during paint correction / coating do you remove any tape? I'm struggling with tape lines from either dried polish or ceramic coating on my cars after detailing.
Yeah, I'm always removing after polish because you're generally going to coat your trim. All right, so you would do compounding and then finishing, and then remove the tape, and then do your cleanup with your carpet eraser, or your surface, your panel wipe. I always forget the name of that. Your panel wipe or your Geon Prep or whatever, or just isopropyl alcohol solution you're using, and you wipe it off, get all your tape residue, and then all your extra polish business out of there, and then you would coat.
Got a lot of people from Oregon today. TDAS 250 from Oregon. Hello from Oregon, from Bend, Oregon. Lots of people.
Ryan just told me he just discovered. He says, "Did you know that all drugs are legal in Oregon?"
All drugs, really?
Yeah. Did you know this?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why all these people are watching. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like, maybe they can clarify.
Yep.
Cocaine, heroin, all that stuff is technically no, or I don't know that it's legal, but it's decriminalized. I'm not sure what the difference would be. In that you can't go out and legally buy cocaine, but if you get caught with it, it's no longer a federal crime or no longer a state crime. I'm not sure how that works.
Oregonians, let us know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sounds like a season of The Wire there. Let's see. You probably mentioned this previously. A lot of the work is already done. But what is a realistic ETA on the cabinet project that you're taking
on? I'd say a year and a half. So we made our notes. You guys saw that on Inside the Hex, where we sat down and talked about what we would change. We just palletized it. Should be at Joe's place right around now, up in Wisconsin. Joe, my industrial engineer partner, he and I are working on our deionization system and stuff as well. And we're waiting on some valves and some parts on the DI system, in case you're wondering, to come from China. We're having manufactured. The one part from China is the valve that we need, and so we want to do a single 3-way valve. So he's working on that solution. Once we get that, then we can start to get our final prototypes ordered, and then we can start to test But we have similar process. We want to make the cabinets in the U.S. is the hope, and I don't really care where things are made all that much, other than the distribution disadvantage to bringing such big items over from overseas, and then the lead times, and then the inventory required, the capital investment required in order to do these big allotments or big container shipments is something that I'd like to try to avoid. That I think net I think we can end up in a similar pricing position and not have to deal with China.
Neil wants to know, hey Matt, out of all the giveaway vehicles, which one has brought in the most money for OG?
I actually think the M2 CS last time. It's either that or the E92.
I think it might have been the E92, but I don't know for sure, Neil.
Yeah, the E92 M3, I think.
Jeffrey Walker says, good morning, Matt and Chris from Down Under. I'm so not happy that I can't enter the Porsche giveaway. Keep up the great content.
I mean, you can enter it and
can't win it.
Everybody wins and just lie to me. Show up here, get it, and then figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm from California.
What can I do about it?
Let's see. Dom says, I have a 10-year-old Grand Cherokee that has never been detailed before.
Yeah.
The paint is actually in really good shape, but it's never been coated, corrected, or waxed before. Where do you recommend I start?
Well, you'd want to decon it, right? So you'd want to wash it with decon soap, then hit it with an iron remover. You'll probably have a substantial amount of iron embedded in the paint, so you'd spray the iron remover, Iron X, on it. We use P&S Iron Buster. It works really well. And then you would clay it. So on a car that old, I would probably actually clay bar it. So I would use the Coach Chemi clay bar and mix up the 7-to-1 solution. I think it's 128-to-1 solution of McKee's N914 as your lube, and then rinse it, and then dry it, and then start tape it off and polish it. So you'd probably need a 2-step. So I would try something like Jescar Correction Compound on a Rupes microfiber cutting pad or a Meguiar's microfiber cutting pad, and correct it, and then finish it with Perfect Finish and probably a yellow pad.
Let's see. Stephen Oliver says, I showed my wife the ice cream scoop and bottle opener. I can't remember exactly what she said because I was laughing the entire time. I'm not sure I'll buy the scoop, but the bottle opener looks legit.
Yeah, they both seem legit. I haven't used the ice cream scoop. I'm on a system here, on a plan. But the I don't know about bottle openers. I don't need
open
that
bottles.
Crap. Yeah, I do not.
Oh. Did the Snap-on tool truck stop by today?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Actually, it's going to be here every Friday.
It's actually kind of fun,
For
you
18
go in
months.
there and so you drop another 3 Gs today for like 6 tools. Half of them made in Spain. I thought that was the whole thing. It was all made in America. You idiots! It's American quality. And so I got my cooler. That's good. You see that on Instagram. Oh, I got that little cooler. You kept that, didn't you?
No, I'm giving it to Drew.
Somebody
I'm giving it to Drew.
Yeah,
but
yeah. What do you got in there?
See, that's part of the... We're going to test it and see if this worked.
Okay.
It's too bad you're off ice cream, by the way, because I got you.
Oh, they had it? Where'd you get it?
I had to slum it. No, I didn't go to Walmart.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I cannot eat it. Nope. Oh, my gosh. Did you bring the ice cream scoop over?
No, I didn't bring the scoop.
What the heck? What kind of product placement is this?
I brought 2 spoons, though.
So. No. Should I have like a little taste?
Yeah, I think you should have 1 taste of each of them. Because these were the 2 finalists that the Little Debbie taste test came down to.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all right,
yeah, I hope Ken Martin is not watching our Publix friend, because I had to go to Winn-Dixie to get these. But.
Oh, this doesn't look very good. It doesn't look anything like a zebra cake. Yeah, this isn't a zebra cake.
Yeah, so thank you, Snap-on. This is for Drew.
What the heck?
Well, you got to taste it, see if the... Is there any zebra cakiness in there? Or is it just chocolate milk ice cream?
Yeah, it's
mixed
just,
together?
This is bullcrap.
All right, you get 2 bites, no more.
It's going to start leaking everywhere.
Yeah. I guess you'll just have to finish it then.
Yeah, go throw this away.
No, I'm getting some of that first.
I just ate 2 bites out of it. That's gross.
Let's see.
No, it's not good. All right, I'll only eat 1 out of this one.
That was the winner, by the way,
of the taste test.
And you decided Nutty Buddy was your favorite.
I've been looking for that forever. But now that I'm like totally on the wagon, getting back to becoming superhuman.
It's great audio.
Yeah, this one's way better. But there's nothing to do with nutty butter business
Yeah,
here.
zebra cake tastes nothing like a zebra cake. It's not bad. I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
So this one's the ice cream taste test as well, the Nutty Buddy.
Yeah. You got to get a chunk of the actual.
Yeah, that is good. Then you get
But
extra.
these are not like. It's not. I want like chunks of zebra cake in there. It's just all it is vanilla ice cream with chocolate swirl in it. That's terrible.
Oh, kind of a letdown on the zebra cake for sure. Oh well, it's a thought that counts. Remember this when my annual review comes up.
I have to check that off 40 calories or so off of my macros for the day. I've been doing great though, really great. Yeah,
for a few weeks, a month. How long?
Workouts probably about 3 months, right? And but eating about 3 weeks. But I just feel better, feel fitter naturally, right? And I think I'm probably down like maybe like 8 pounds or something like that. But I'm doing it smart this time, where I'm like eating reasonably, like I'm eating food. I'm not just starving myself and then crash and burn, you know? It's where you crash, you have no energy, it's terrible. Even like the carnivore diet works extremely well, but you can't really work out hard. I mean, you can, but it's brutal and painful, and then you don't want to work out. So I've been doing like every weekend. I'm trying to stay every day, like because what would happen a lot of times, I'd work out 3 days, miss Thursday, and then something would come up Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, and I'd do nothing, or just making videos, washing cars. It's not like I'm laying around the whole time, but I'd miss like a solid workout, and so if the last month and a half or so I've been doing something. Like, so Saturday I've been riding 20-30 miles on the mountain bike. Sunday I would do some sort of hard ruck. Like this Saturday I'll go to CrossFit in the morning, and then I'll ruck, do like a long ruck on Sunday. So at least I did workout today, workout Saturday, do some sort of workout Sunday, combined with I'm eating somewhere around 2,500 calories a day, and attempting to stay, within reason there, but not like limiting myself to like, eating like 500 calories a day and starving myself to death, which means it's going to take a lot longer. But I'm okay with that because what I've been doing the last 6 or 7 years hasn't worked.
Matt Duffy called me a saboteur for ruining your diet. So he only had 1 or 2 bites of it.
Yeah, I'm not ruined. I'm good. Normally I'd be like, wow.
Yeah. Old Matty would have finished them both.
Oh yeah, that's
not giving me any bites.
That's light work.
Yeah. Frankie wants to know: did you get your Snap-on toolbox yet?
Oh no,
That's like months out, right?
4 months out. Yeah. So here's how it works. I'm starting to figure it out.
Okay. Wait, I saw some actual paperwork today.
Yeah. So you go on the truck. I set up so they have the truck account. All right. So they have the I forget what they call it, the truck financing. So you could pay cash. You can do truck financing. You can do EC financing, which is the financing I have through, was it extended credit or something like that. But you pay for it on the truck, which is weird. And then I now have clarification on it. So last week I bought, so this is the part that's frustrating. So I bought a toolbox, $11,000, right? It was $16,000 list. Bought it for 11. So you got a $2,400 discount for doing it on the EC account because they want to try to get you, So, but that hasn't been charged yet. That'll be charged whenever it comes. So I've placed the order, and then then I just got to wait for it to come. And I actually custom work because I wanted the drawers to be a little different. So that means it's probably gonna take even longer. So then the I wanted to buy, so my list was $35,000 worth of tools. That was the list price from the website. So I spent an entire weekend, 4 or 5 hours a day, sitting sitting there and going through and checking off and adding to the wish list on the Snap-on website of all the different parts and pieces I wanted to put together a decent set of tools to fill that 60-inch toolbox. And then to have tools to play with, and and then it's fun to try to buy them and all that. So if I would have just clicked the button, I could have bought them on the Snap-on site, and they would have shipped me the back orders as they come in, but it would have cost considerably more. So I go on the truck last week and say, here's my list, and we fumbled through that, and so he had about $6,500 worth of those tools on the truck. And then with all the promos and all the weird stuff, that was the other thing. He's like, well, you could get this instead. I'm like, no, I don't want any insteads. I want what I want. I don't want what you have on promotion. I want like what I want. Like, I don't want the green-handled screwdriver. I want the red-handled screwdriver. And I don't want to, it's like I'm just not willing to do that. Like, if you go to Publix, I'm not buying what's on sale. I'm buying what I went there to get. If it happens to be on sale, great. If not, I'm not going to make a change. I'm not going to buy like, I don't know, some off-brand pasta when I want the whatever I want. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
I'm on the truck, and then so it ended up being 24% less. I'm like, well, where did that come from? He's like, well, I don't know. This is just this is the price. So I said, well, can I? I'm terrible at this, by the way. So I'm like, well, why don't you just give me more off? It's like, well, you can't do that. I said, well, how about another 10%? So somehow I ended up paying whatever the 24% was off. So I can do 6 months. So on the EC account, I have a $35,000 credit limit. So they ran my credit. Because my credit was good, I got the 9.9% rate. So it's either 9.9, 14.4, I told this last week, or 18%. So I got on a 9.9% rate. So the toolbox hasn't been charged yet, so that doesn't qualify. But the charge today, so because I have a shop owner's EC account, the charge that day was $5,400. And so because that was the tools that he had for my $35,000 worth of tool list. Or $6,500, I bought for $5,500 or $49.95 plus tax. It was $43 and change. I said, look, I don't want to pay any freaking interest. So I don't care if it's $50. I don't want to pay any interest because I just pay them with my card. But I wanted to go through and figure out how this whole thing works. And so it's not, you pay him on the truck. Like, you don't it's not like a credit card where you just get a bill in the mail and you pay him on the truck, apparently. That was weird to me. So I said, well, how do I know what interest I'm paying? Well, we can look it up. So we can pull it up every week. I come by every week. I'm like, oh, okay. So what happens if you don't come by and I need to pay? And I don't. Well, you might accrue some extra interest that week. And look, it's only this much. I said, yeah, but I don't want to pay any. That's stupid. I've had the money that's earning me no interest in my checking account. Why would I want to pay interest on it? So now he comes back this week, and he has like $3,000 more. So it was
from your wish list.
$4,200, and it was ended up being $3,000 from my wish list.
Okay. And
so, or it was $3,300, but because I have the EC account, if I put it on the EC account, I save $400. Right? Or no, $200. I save $400 the first time. Because every time you put it on there, they want you to do that, because then hopefully they'll, I'm sure they do some statistics. Plus, they have insane margin clearly on the stuff. So, they give you a little rebate. So I'm like, okay. So they give me the whatever number they make up, and then so that everything has some things are in promo, some things are not, and most things aren't, of course, because that's what I want when I want. And so the thing gets here, I say, okay, let's put it on the EC account. But it's not my fault that you didn't have the $35,000 in tools that I wanted to buy last week. I would have just bought them all last week. But you're getting them in, trickling them in whenever they come in. He's like, well, there's not really much I can do about that. I said, so why don't we just add the $3,000 to the $5,000 last week, and then I can continue my 6 months same as cash. No, you can't do that. So you have two choices. You can either pay the interest on the $5,500. So you pay the back interest that they credited you for the 6 months, because really it charges you the interest, but you don't pay it. They credit it back to you. Maybe. Sometimes you have to ask them. Sometimes it just credits you back, right? So it's all up in the air. So I get the new balance, and I'm like, well, I'll just pay the new balance. He's like, well, if you pay the new balance, the new $3,000 today, it'll be $3,300 or $3,100 instead of $2,900 because you don't get the $200 EC rebate for financing. I'm like, well, all right, so what do I got to do? It's like, well, you got to pay off the $5,500 from last week, then this new $3,000, you'll get the $200 credit, and then that'll start a new 6 months. I said, this is the most asinine thing I ever heard. Why can't I just put the freaking $3,300? I've got a $35,000 credit line on top of the $5,500, and then just make payments or not, you know? So, and then he has to pick like a weekly, like, well, how much you want to pay for week kind of thing. And so now I get the new statement, and now it says $3,000, but at 18%.
Ooh, yeah, I saw that.
So I don't really know how this is going to work. $10 says I'm going to end up getting a charge for hundreds of dollars in interest when this is all said and done. So we'll see how it goes.
And he's going to be here every Friday for the
till
the end of time.
Correct. Every time he gets something. But I got my cooler.
Yeah,
which was made in China, by the way, not in America. The little precision screwdrivers I got made in Spa in, Spa in Spain. It's not Spa in Indiana or something. It's Spain, the country. So half the tools were made in a different country, not in America. I thought that was the whole MO. Was that USA? More power to you. But it's all a bunch of freaking junk. You guys are on freaking glue because this stuff is not. And by the way, right next to that, I have an entire bag full of Weha screwdrivers that are the most amazing things I've ever touched in my life. I don't need to be a professional screwdriver to know that what is amazing and what's not. The snap-on screwdrivers are dog crap.
We'll come back to that, I'm sure. Nathan wants to know, hey, Matt, if I were to sell you my Lime Rock Park Edition M3, how much would you buy it for?
$0. I don't
Isn't that
want
the weird color, orange or something?
Yeah.
Nazrat says, will you come visit Montreal at some point, Matt? I'd let you drive my M3 E92.
Yeah, I might someday. Montreal is awesome from what I understand. Somebody was just telling me that. It's one of their favorite places in the world. I don't know. The only thing that weirds me out is you guys and your weird French nonsense. Everything's got to be all Frenchy. Why can't you just be French and not have to impose it on everybody there? It's kind of weird. Why do I have to send bottles titled you can all read English? So why do we have to why would you want to pay more money for something just to put the French on the back of the bottle? That's stupid.
Nick Heinzelring. Hey, Matt, I'm planning on detailing the exterior of a Ram 1500 with Ram boxes, which are insanely faded. When applying solution finish and leaving it, how long after can I ceramic coat those plastics?
I usually wait overnight. So you put the solution finish on, you wipe it, kind of let it soak in, and then wipe it flat. You don't want to, because it'll get kind of streaky if you leave it on there, full heavy coat. And then I like to leave it overnight, and then I'd put EXO on top of that.
C-Mac wants to know, has Matty ever thought of trying a self-service wash bay in Lady Lake? Boom pole, foam lance, OG vacuum setup, etc.
Nah. I mean, we sell tens of millions of dollars of stuff. Well, how much money I got to make? That's something like that. 20 grand. The amount of work that I'd have to do. Yeah, I'm just not. Yeah. My time would be much better served developing a new product.
Stephen Oliver says, surely I can't be the only one excited for the OG signature scent. Sorry, my middle-aged homeowner side is showing now.
It's good.
Very true.
I wish that it was a little bit more... you have to... All reed diffusers, I find, you just have to flip them often. But Helen has the scent. And so that's when we... chose to, hey, let's just do it. It's good.
Super chat, $9.99 from our friend Spencer. Chris, can you look at the previous winners and see at what point they bought items for the giveaway? Curious if there's a trend to buying in the beginning, middle, or late. That might be something I can do, Spencer. I can tell you it's it's all random. So
yeah, I mean it's a random number generator. So I mean there might be some coincidence, but yeah, I would suspect it probably didn't matter.
And then on that topic, let me find where it goes. Anuj wants to know, are previous giveaway winners eligible to win the GT3 RS? Asking for a friend.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. The only people who aren't are anybody associated, like employee and family of me.
Yeah.
You know.
Employees and immediate family.
Yep.
And then our buddy Barbecue Jones, who's coming this weekend, says, yes, and I'm definitely entering and planning on winning. He won the shopping spree.
Yeah, some people just have all the luck, you know.
All right, let's see. Baloo says, hey, Matt, I just bought a championship white FL5 Civic Type R.
Okay.
Which 18-inch wheels should I put on it?
I mean, I'd want to do something like, Graham lights or Volks of some sort would be, my choice, like TEs or CEs or something like that to see, what fit. But there's all kinds of new, some of the new, Volk stuff that where they go by different names that they make for that car. It could be kind of cool.
All right, let's see. T. Jeeber says, got a question for you, Matt. I noticed the giveaway says anyone ever convicted of a felony cannot win. I'm curious why this rule exists. I have a felony from 1995, and I want to buy stuff for a chance to win.
Yeah, I'm not going to check that, so...
Yeah, just don't tell us.
There's normal boilerplate, like somebody was getting real all up on me and on YouTube. Like, this is a scam. I said, well, I've given away 6 cars already, and and 2 garages, and a couple of Crenslers, a couple of shopping sprees. I'm telling you, anybody who... You're just a terrible judge of character if you can't look me in the eyes and realize that this guy's legit.
Yeah, and
but there's boilerplate. Thank your local congressman for the nonsense that why can't I do whatever I want to do? Instead, I've got to get a post bond in my state and in the state of New York. I've got to pay an attorney to draw up all these bullcrap rules. Why we're all adults here? Why can't I just do whatever the heck I want to do? But you can't, and so you have all this legal jargon bullcrap that you have to post. And that's how we're able to do it because it's classified as lottery rules, and so that's why you see all this weird stuff on there. But I mean, how the heck am I going to know if you have a felon? I don't have any background check form, or how would I even know how to do that? You'd have to, I guess, hire a service that does background checks or something.
The lawyer puts that in there. That's the
it's like normal boilerplate.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jeffrey says, do you have an OG spec garage fire extinguisher recommendation?
No. Yeah, I don't know much about those.
Southern Motoring Solutions says, Ruth's Chris in my area is like a Texas roadhouse that went to college for a week. I live in Louisiana. That should explain everything.
Oh, boy.
That's
yeah.
funny.
I could see that. I mean, it's dependent on who's back there cooking, So
That's a good way to
I
put
usually
it.
go to the one, I go with like the Buckhead in Atlanta or like, some fancy place like Fort Lauderdale or something like that is usually when I end up going to a Ruth's Chris. Winter Park.
CJ wants to know, are you still planning to make your own cabinet line based on the modular cabinet idea?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to pursue it, see where it goes. One of the things I'm worried about is when we get our prototype and when we get our pricing that it ends up being like the same price as, MSS Plus or something crazy. If that's the case, then we would just stick with the best. Wow, we're not going to beat them at that game.
Let's see. Jeffrey McNall Jr. says, lots of wash and smokes happening up in Oregon. Yeah. Washing something. Imred says, hey guys, Edwin here. Is the Crinsler K1622 TS in stock? Keep up the good work. Imred, Edwin, I can't tell you for sure because we have some issues, but I do know that we're getting a delivery on Monday or Tuesday next week, so they'll be here soon if they're not already in stock.
Make sure you actually want the 1622 TS. That you really only want that if you're doing mobile type solution or you need something really, really quiet. Because the 1622 is far inferior to the 1322 from a use case perspective with much lower flow. Same pressure but lower flow.
Let's see. Mike Bellows said, hey Matt, you made me fall in love with the E92. So I sold my F80 after 3 years of ownership and just purchased a 2012 Le Mans Blue E92 comp with only 30,000 miles. Wanted to share since you inspired me.
Nice. It'd be interesting to see. Yeah, the F80 for a long time. I mean, the E92 feels like it has no guts in comparison, especially if you had a tuned, F80. I think pulls like a freight train, and the E92 is going to be all show, not a lot of go. But the V8 makes the experience much better. I like owning the F80, and but it was one of those placeholders, kind of like having a GT3 350 or something like that. But I think the E92 is like a long-term, like classic, great car.
All right, let's see here. Jack Hay says, poor timing for Matt here, but Jeni's is the superlative ice cream choice. You ever had Jeni's?
No.
I'll find a picture. I'm interested. Let's see. Jorge says, or George, I tracked every meal for about 2 years. I'm at the point where I can guess how many grams of chicken and rice are on a plate within a negligible margin of error.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty... it doesn't take much to kind of gauge where you should be roughly.
Steven says, in one of your recent Wash and Talk episodes, you talked about if I were a young man, I would listen to. Mm-hmm. Do you recall who you're referring to? I believe the person is a motivational speaker.
Was he talking? Maybe we're talking about Jordan Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Peterson, I'd be, listening to, believe it or not, Andrew Tate is speaking what most young men should probably hear. Not the sound clips, but the actual Andrew Tate. Even though he's kind of, who Andrew Tate is, like the most widely followed man on the internet. Go! You'll get in a hole. Start watching some Andrew Tate stuff tonight. You'll find it amusing.
British American media personality. There we go.
Yeah, he was a kickboxer, but he's like he's the face of toxic masculinity, right? According to little nerd women, right? He's the face of it. What he's speaking to is like, be a man, Now, the argument against him is that he doesn't really talk about it. I think he owns like a cam girl like factory, and that's kind of how he got rich, I think. But he's he's done tons and tons of interviews. He's basically been eradicated from the internet on any of his own stuff. He's the most widely followed dude for a couple of years. So Tom Segura kind of put him on the map, and he's just talking what everybody's thinking. And so then, of course, that gets him into big trouble. So right now he's on house arrest. I'm fascinated by this in Romania for being accused of sex trafficking. So, but when you can look somebody in the eyes, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe my character judgment's a little off, but the dude's just like a real dude, who all real dudes do some shady stuff, like guys like that, they're super rich people. They, but the principles of of what he's saying is pretty, it's so counterculture. And it's funny because everybody who interviews him, it's always like some BBC, like little nerd journalist lady who's just picking a fight with them the whole time. Same thing with like the most famous interview with Jordan Peterson. You have this nerd lady who, if you underhand toss her a softball, would catch it with her teeth. Is just, they go after these guys who are just talking to young men about being a solid dude. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about, if you don't have like a career or a purpose, like you're lost, things like that, simple things like that we think would make common sense is something that a young man really needs to listen to.
Found the Jeni's ice cream, by the way.
Looks good.
They have it at Publix. Father's Day collection. This sounds good. Sweet cream biscuits and peach jam.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
That sounds delicious. Gooey butter cake.
You don't want any fruit in your dessert.
Salted peanut butter with chocolate flakes. How about that?
These sound like too much. I want frickin' vanilla.
Yeah, a little too fancy for your taste.
I don't want any of that.
Pineapple upside down cake. Yeah. Lemon and blueberry parfait.
Oh, gross.
Midwest whiskey and pecans.
No.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Salty caramel.
Nope. Maybe that would be okay, but even then, not really.
I'm sure they have vanilla. Well, they have it at Publix.
I want frickin' vanilla. Maybe some
Maybe
cookies and cream. Maybe some cookie dough.
Let's see if they have a boring collection here.
Look at this. What is all this fruit? I don't want
Strawberry
any fruit.
buttermilk.
I don't want any fruit. It's like going to a wedding. You go to a wedding and you're like, man, that cake looks good, man. They bring you the cake, and it's like lemon base with like a strawberry swirl of barf in the middle of it. It's gross. Like, what are you doing to me? How about make it white cake with buttercream icing? Done. And then it's always cream cheese base icing. Oh,
I'm not a fan of that myself.
Gross. You ruined some perfection. Yeah, I like it simple. There
Boston
you go.
cream pie.
No.
Cookies and cream. How about cookies and cream?
Yeah, that's basic, simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Milk chocolate, dark chocolate, green mint chip.
I don't really like
stretching it
chocolate
for
ice
you.
cream very much.
A salted vanilla custard layered with yellow cake pieces and darkest chocolate.
No,
fudge.
too much. Too much. I mean, mint chocolate chip is okay, but I'd prefer not to have that.
Do you like the vanilla with a little flecks of vanilla in it, or is that too
That's
much?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
But you don't have to put 47 things in there. Yeah, I think vanilla cookie dough is like, that's legit. I'm a simple guy,
Oh yeah, very simple. Very simple.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let me get back to this. Sorry, we got on a Ego Stubby. Getting really close to shipping out? Question mark. Fingers crossed.
Who knows?
Yeah, Daniel will have an update for you in the RYS email.
Yeah.
They're getting close. The prototype came here. It passed the test, so we're that many steps
Oh, it
closer.
did? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm uninvolved.
Yeah.
I have to stop reading comments, stop commenting the comments. Yeah.
All right. Jeff G says, "Afternoon, gentlemen. Is there an OG spec garden hose nozzle / sprayer?"
Yeah, I mean, the best I've found is Ely. The Ely. If you're looking for a fire hose, I just don't like the fire hose nozzle for anything but like filling up a bucket. The fire hose nozzle, Dixon Valve makes one that's really nice, but believe it or not, the ultimate hose nozzle, the as seen on TV version, which apparently we can't get anymore, is like the best one. But Ely's it's like $80, and it's solid brass. It's freaking sweet. That's the one you want.
Let's see here. Oh, he said, "I hate tchotchkes, by the way, but I ended up getting the bottle opener and kid T-shirt. I suppose the GT is worth it."
Yeah. You'll like the T-shirt. The T-shirts are. I mean, I've got one on now. It's legit. Los Angeles apparel. It'll be the best T-shirt you own.
Krugs3 says, "Does rucking have any effect on any old injuries?"
No, I mean, the thing you have to keep in mind, when you're rucking, you got the weight on your shoulders, right? So the first few times, you feel in your traps, that kind of feeling when you're carrying weight on your back. But after a few rucks, you're fine. The problem, of course, you're trotting, and so you do feel, it's lower impact than running, like regular, running fast. But you do have, that kind of front of the quad, front of the kneecap kind of feel. But it is a lot lower impact. What I notice most is when I come back, my frickin' ankles are worn out, just from kind of trotting on your toes the whole time. And I'll try to stay off the road, which makes it harder when you're in the soft, side of the road, when you're in the grass and stuff. But it's a lower impact, and then load up weight. It's got to be harder than just running. That's the question. Do I end up in the same spot? Would you be better off just running? Let's say you're going to run 2 miles. You run 2 miles in, say, 15 minutes or something like that, versus you're going to ruck 2 miles in 20 minutes with 35 or 45 pounds on your back. I mean, are you going to end up in the same spot? Because your heart rate will be a little lower on the ruck, and so how much longer distance ruck do you need to do versus the run? Is the ruck lower impact on you because now you have weight on you? I just think it's different, so I think it's not one or the other. I think you do both, a combination of both. And so throwing that weight on your back, it's an interesting feeling that even if you're walking, it makes you feel like you're working harder than if you were just walking without it.
Jesse Jameson Photography says, "If you were only allowed to have one Porsche in your collection for life, Which one would you choose aside from any crazy rare additions? Based on your experience, which generation would be the one?
991.1 GT3 RS. So a 2016 GT3 RS.
Peyton says, I have a new garage built, 22 feet deep, 25 feet wide. Would you put cabinets on the side or the back of the garage?
I'd still do the back. Harbor Hills was like 20 feet 6 inches deep, and we put the Sabres on the back, and it still fit. You can't fit a Raptor in there then, but or like an extended cab truck. But yeah, I don't like cabinets on the side. I like it on the back.
Anuj wants to know, did Auto Paint Guard notice any differences installing Expel over Opticoat?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it was pretty pedestrian. So I need to call him and ask him. But yeah, he was nervous about it, but everything's looking great.
Stephen has you came to the right place with this question, Stephen. Speaking of extra calories, how does CrossFit work for more out of shape people? Can they hack it? It looks like a great way to have an accountability system and be very effective.
So the disadvantage to it is that in order for it to work, especially if you're really out of shape or really obese, I think you've got to supplement. You're gonna have to do some supplemental cardio because you're not gonna be able to go hard enough to get done what you need to get done to lose the weight. So you're gonna be doing too light a weight, and the workout's gonna be too short, right? So generally speaking, when you see really obese people or really out of shape people come, they have to do like little weight. And we're working out, like today's workout was ended up being 20 minutes, right? And so we're doing it, now we did some squats beforehand, but you're doing a 20-minute workout. And so if you suck and you're doing that 20 minutes and you're not like, you can't do enough weight, like for example, so today's a great example. So we had to do where it was a team workout. Team workouts are almost always easier, right? Depending on who your partner is.
A little rest.
But yeah, or sometimes team workouts being harder if you have to be moving while the other person's doing some work or something like that. But today was pretty easy. So it was 200 single unders. So I do 100, you do 100. While you're doing the 100, I'm waiting. And then it was 50 wall balls, right? Okay. And so single unders anybody can do, super easy, just the single jump ropes, right? And so you can only do those so fast. I guess you can get really good and do it. If you did them even faster, it'd be even easier. So even if you aren't very athletic, you can kind of jump through those. You get through, the 50 to 100 of those pretty easily. And then you go over the wall balls, and what happens is you can't do the real wall ball. So you're doing 50, and you're not squatting all the way down. You're not throwing the ball all the way up, and you're using a lighter ball. So then let's say I'm the idiot and you're the experienced person. So you're doing your 25 and your partner's doing 25. You guys are doing the RX weight of 20 pounds to 10 feet. And I'm doing an 8-pound ball to whatever I can throw it up to, and I'm squatting halfway down. So I'm done in like half the time that you're done. And so then I come over, and then the other thing was to do 10 rope climbs as a team. So 5 each. But you're not doing a rope climb because you can't climb a rope, so you're doing a rope pull. And so the rope pull takes half the time that a rope climb takes and takes a tenth the energy. Even if you're out of shape, it's not very hard to do. And then what happens is the more out of shape you are, the less strict you do it. You kind of just cheat it and just kind of pop your hips up, right? You just kind of stand up and lay down. You see people doing it all the time. And so here, me and my partner, so you and your partner doing RX, doing the prescribed weight, and it takes you the full 20 minutes, and you're kind of falling out at the end of it, right? Because you're trying to get through all this work, and you're it went from single unders, then the next round was skip single unders, the next round was double unders, and the next round was like crossover double unders, something like that, right? So you're doing all this work, and you guys are climbing to the roof, and me and my partner are doing everything halfway. So even though we're really out of shape, because we're doing less weight, less work, we get done in like half the time. And so that's the biggest mistake that all these people make, and then they just stay in that forever. They never like try to progress. You see this all the time across with the non-athletes. And these are the people who talk about it the most. These are why we many of you guys are watching, CrossFit is for freaking idiots, because you only know the idiots that suck at everything. They're the ones who talk about it 24/7. And that, oh, I'm a CrossFitter. No, you're not. You suck at it. You're not any good at it. You're never going to be any good at it, and you never even try. And so what happens is we have this whole group of people in the morning and in the afternoon that, like, they do a tenth the weight, they do half the reps, they do everything scaled, and they're done in like 10 minutes. They like just get up and walk away and go in their car and go home. Or I'm like literally laying on the floor on death's doorstep, right? So the only way it works is if you progress on the edge of dying forever, right? That's the way. That's how you can do a 22-minute AMRAP or a 12-minute workout for time. Is now you don't want to do weights that you can't handle and hurt yourself, and that's where you can make a mistake. Is that you can only handle 135 pounds, but you're doing the 185 because that's what it says on the board, and you want to get the check mark. That's where people will make the mistake, and so that's where. But those aren't the people that any of you know. You only know the people who don't even try. So they should be doing, like the other day, we were the girl's prescribed weight was I think 125, and they were using a 15-pound trainer with 5 pounds on each side. So they were doing 25 pounds, and the prescribed weight is 105. So they're done in like 7 minutes. I'm 32 minutes in, still dying, right? And so, but I'm doing the prescribed weight, and I'm falling out. Like I'm having to like knee on the ground, just please stand up and do one more rep kind of discussion with yourself. And so if you go there out of shape, you can definitely do it. It depends on how strong and how much you can handle weight. You need to be able to handle at least enough weight to where it's taxing cardiovascularly. Otherwise, you're not working out long enough or hard enough to get anything done. And what these people do is, like, we're supposed to run a mile, and so they'll like get on the bike because my knee hurts. It's freaking running hurts. Of course, running hurts everybody when you're starting out, right? You still running your mile every day, so the first miles are pretty hard.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah, and so everything is hard, to do in the beginning. So the beauty to me of CrossFit from a competitive type person is that no matter what stage I'm at of fatness and out of shapeness or in shapeness, there's always somebody to kind of compete with. You're trying to become sort of the next fastest swimmer, and it's not about ego. I win, you suck. It's just it to me it helps motivate to drive you to pick up the bar. Don't stand there and keep your heart rate up, or get out there and don't walk, run. Keep going. Or run faster. And if you know what your time was on that workout previously, maybe you can do a little quicker. Instead of doing like 5 pull-ups and 5 pull-ups, try to do 10 in a row, that kind of thing. And so the beauty of it is it's always different. You don't have to think about it. The clock starts and you go to war. And then when you're done, everybody shakes hands, high fives. You wipe the sweat off. There's no air conditioning. You're in the heat. You're in the grit. You're in the function of functional fitness. And so that's why I like it. And so you go in there and you start out, and depending on, like I said, depending on how much weight you can handle and whether I'd be supplementing, like running or biking or rowing afterwards. Because if you're doing such low weight, in order for you to eventually be able to start to do the weight and to do prescribed and to really get the effort, get the effort in that you would need for it to work, because you can't do a 7-minute workout at 30% capacity and expect to get in shape. It doesn't frickin' work. That's why people get on the treadmill and have to do the treadmill for 2 hours if you're doing it at like a walking pace in order to get anything out of it. But the magic to it is, I haven't done a frickin' bicep curl in 10 years. You're not doing lat pull downs. You're not doing traditional. You're humping the bar like all these dorks are doing on Instagram. What is that thing called? The hip thrust thingy. What is that called? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All these girls, they put the
angle,
pad on the bar and they put like 3 plates on it and they're humping the bar. It's the stupidest exercise I've ever seen in my life. How about just squat? Just do some squats.
Humping a bar.
Yeah. So, but we all had our hump the bar exercise when we were in the gym doing our 5x5 or whatever. Remember the thing we used to do all the time is you take the rope and you do the what's that thing called? Hip extension.
Hip extension. There you go.
Yeah, that's so freaking stupid. So instead, we used to do like the I'm gonna do some abs. So you hold like the rope cable, the tricep, and you do like the crunches and do basically nothing when you should just stop eating. I would do that all the time because I didn't want to actually do any real ab work because that's hard. So, you don't want to squat. You're just going to do hip extensions. That'll be great. And let's wear shorts that make us look terrible. Let's pull our shorts up to our armpits and make us look like dorks.
Let's see. Jack Hay, let's talk about tools. Have you got any Weha stuff on the way?
No,
Sure?
I didn't love the Weha stuff. I think the general consensus in the German world is that Weha is the aggregator of stuff, whereas Weha is the innovator. Where Weha is just kind of putting stuff together. I'm sure they have some decent stuff in there, but I don't think that Weha quite has. I'll probably head down the path with some of their stuff, but it just didn't appeal to me as much.
MX304 says, how's the wash bay project at the house coming along?
Ugh, not.
I think it's on hold.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I guess I just got to pay an engineer $30,000 to draw me a thing on a napkin.
Scott Mitchell says, Calgary trip coming up. Hope you have a good time in my hometown.
Yep.
Yeah, when is that? Next week, right?
Friday. We'll fly up. Yep.
Let's see here. Dan Grubb says, Matt, can I enter the giveaway from the UK? And if I win, you keep it in your garage and look after it for me. And maintain it with your snap-on tools.
Yeah. I think our random number generator probably doesn't pull from if you're... I don't know if it's that sophisticated.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Toto says, just put my first order with you last week. Super fast shipping, excellent packaging. Definitely going to enter the drawing.
Nice.
Thanks, Toto. Matt, this is from Yo Kenny R. Can you give me your thoughts on lowering springs for my mini JCW? Eibach or H&R better?
I don't know that you can go wrong with either one of them. I think it just depends on the car. So I'd be digging around the forums. So sometimes H&R spends a little more time and energy on a car than I think both of them at this point are just doing everything CAD wise. They're getting the spring specs. Like I don't think that they're really testing every car and seeing what works the most. So if you can find a spring manufacturer that really likes that car, that's always better. Or they actually develop the spring on the car rather than just going off of spec.
Toto wants to know, Matt, have you ever considered a Giulia quad? I only have the base, but I love it.
No, I just don't think I'd be able to handle all the potential problems. I know I'm generalizing here, but the Alfa stuff is just not really my style. And I think they're nice. I think they sound great. I just don't know that I'd want to have to deal with some of that Italian jank that those cars have.
Alfredo says, hey, Matt, I think your diet and getting in shape are going to help you to be driving better in no time. Mm-hmm. I cut out sugar and eating out, and man, my anxiety is way better.
Yeah, I feel a lot better across the board.
Let's see. Rated GP says, hey, Matt, can you talk about the Pit Boss jacks? Are they really worth the price? Which one would you get, low or standard?
Yeah, it's a lifetime type purchase, right? So it's rebuildable. You can change the hydraulic fluid, so you can change the oil in it. It's really remarkable. I mean, they're diminishing returns when you get here because you could go buy some anodized aluminum, Pittsburgh jack from Harbor Freight, and shoot, I had to give mine away. Somebody's still using them somewhere. Things just won't die. But I like the one with the single wheel on the front. I guess they both have a single wheel, but the low one. I just find it to be more useful. Fits under anything. If you use a jack often, and if you value a jack, you're going to spend. Say I bought that. What's that blue one that I bought? That's really popular from Pelican Parts. The Danish one that was nice, but it was just so big. AC hydraulic. nice, just really big, heavy, bulky, just kind of a little bit of jank to it. This is like a precise CNC machine, beautifully anodized, but that AC whatever is $600. This is $2,200. So the AC hydraulics probably longer lasting over a long period of time, but it's so much bigger, so much heavier, so much bulkier, so much taller from the perspective of getting underneath your car. I just love the really low profile Pit Boss jack. So I have the low profile here, and then I have the regular profile in Helen and at home. The only advantage of the regular is the bigger wheel in the front. Does make it easier to kind of roll around on stuff. But we had them redesign the low profile one so it doesn't damage the Swiss tracks, because the original design had had two small wheels, and so we had them put a long tubular wheel in the front. It raised it by about 1/4 of an inch in height, but it's so low that you could get it under anything. It's really, 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 really nice. If you can swing it, and if you're interested in getting in the giveaway, I would buy one. And I have 3 of them, so I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And I bought mine retail.
G. Allen says, "Hey, Matt, did you ever go through with your land purchase for your house? I know you were slowing things down."
Yeah, I mean, I do own the lot, but I'm not building anytime soon.
Jeffrey McNall Jr. says, "I love Tom and Bert. I just started listening to 2 Bears, 1 Cave from the beginning. Hilarious."
Yeah.
Then
I like them a lot.
MX304 says, "Bert's I'm the Machine bit is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen."
Oh, his movie's out now. I need to see it.
Let's see. Yo Kenny R says, "I'm for vanilla ice cream myself. Occasionally some butter pecan."
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. I just like it simple.
Is Matt still cooking his own steaks? Any new rubs? Ice cream doesn't need fruit. Fruit needs ice cream. That's a good way to put it, Tim.
Yeah.
You still cooking your own steaks?
Yeah. Snake River Farms. I bought all the different steaks. The black USDA Prime Wagyu Black Series, Diamond Series, all the fancy stuff. I like Snake River Farms ribeye choice. It's like the best steak I've ever eaten in my life. So I have a whole freezer full of. I bought like 12 or 15 of them, something like that. I don't know how many I bought, but I've tried like the ribeye fillets and all of that, New York strips, the T-bones, all of that. And I just think the Snake River Farms USDA choice, they're about $35 a piece. They're 1.5 inches thick, generally somewhere around a pound and a half. Just amazing.
Let's see.
I just do salt and pepper. I stopped putting oil on it.
Okay.
You don't put oil on it. You just salt and pepper it. Set it there, get it to room temperature with salt. So salt and pepper it like 1.5 hours before you cook it. Sear it on both sides. Cook it to about 128 degrees. Let it sit for 10 minutes. Perfect. So I either put it on the oven or I just leave it on the cool spot or the less warm spot on the grill after I've seared it. It's real good.
I'm hungry now. Sunny Color says, "How is the low-end torque of the G80 compared to the F80 and your older M5?"
Is he talking about the F10 versus the G80?
He said F80 and your older M5, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the G80 is next level, man. It's freaking crazy. I mean, if you tune it, I think my tune made it like something like 600 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. So, I mean, F10's really tunable, but it's just next level. And then, you have the option of all-wheel drive, which helps it hook up. So you can have all that torque in the F10 and you just lighten up the rear end. Same thing in the F80. But the torque is much more usable in the G80 because of the option for all-wheel drive.
Let's see here. Brad Hone said, "I would like a Boring Collection T-shirt to go with my OG ice cream scoop." Make that happen. Butter pecan ice cream. Another vote for butter pecan over there. Griffin Stambaugh says, "I recently purchased some nice cooking knives. What is your go-to for sharpening tools?"
I just bought this, I think it's called the Wasabi Sharpener. I haven't used it yet. You know, you should get stones. What is that noise?
Rain.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should really get, that thing.
This? Which one?
The one in the middle, 42, something like that. That's not the one, because I think the one I bought was a couple $100. Shoot, maybe that's the same one. I should have bought it for $42.
Should get the Snap-on version.
Yeah.
Should have one.
That does look like the exact same thing I got for a couple $100.
Rucking Pro. Does that sound familiar?
Rucking.
Rucking.
R-U-I-Z
Okay.
or X-I-N. Yeah, not that one. Mine's, I think, called the Wasabi. But it's the same red bag, and I haven't used it yet, so I don't know. But you have to know how to, what's the degree angle of your knives, and then you have to know how to, like, right amount of pressure and all that, so it takes some... Yeah, that's the thing I have.
Interesting.
I think my Yaxles are 14 degrees, I think. This is a weird... But the one I have, you put your phone on it. Your phone, you download the app, and then you like set the degree, and then it like that little arm keeps it at a certain angle. I have to get it out and use it. Maybe I'll do that this weekend.
Kevin Nickens says, "Hey Matt, have you ever thought about pursuing a fryer for the outdoor kitchen? I can't tell if that would be too hard to maintain or if it would be awesome."
Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be a pain in the rear, wouldn't it? But it would be awesome, for sure. I mean, I do have the fryer insert for my alfresco, so it's like a little container thing that you put in there. I thought, to me, that made more sense. That way I could take it out and clean it up. The hardest part is, like restaurants have like a service that comes and changes the oil, right? Or takes
You
the
dump
oil,
it after
brings
a
you
certain
new,
number. Yeah. That's what we did at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, and they bring you the new oil.
And then the weirdos steal the oil to go make homemade fuel for their cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, Matt's cooking his own steaks. T. Jeeber says, "What do you recommend for windshield protection film in 2023? Exo Shield? Something else? Car's a 992 GT3 RS that will be tracked occasionally."
Yeah, I mean, I think Exo Shield's probably your best option, and I haven't seen. I think they're on version 4 now. I haven't seen it. The first version was not so great. The other company, Clearplex, I think there's one more. I would be inclined to try the new version of Exo Shield, try to find an installer for it. The problem with most windshield films is they're thicker, and so anytime you get any little speck of anything, it looks like a darn volcano. It looks like a giant mountain. There's a big old air bubble, and you can see the speck, like amplifies it. Versus window tint, usually they can kind of squeeze out the dust.
Loot Share says, "Hey Matt, I recently bought my first home. I have a dedicated 25 by 20 theater room. Would you recommend a single SVS PB 4000 or dual SVS PB 2000 Pros?"
I'd probably rather have the dual in that scenario, because I'm assuming he's talking. Those are similar priced. I'd rather have two of them, unless I get the 4000 and know that maybe in 6 months I'll get the second one. Having two subs in a theater makes a really remarkable difference. I'd rather have two decent subs than one great sub, unless I can get one great sub and then get the second great sub, maybe in a year or so.
Daniel wants to know, he says, "I don't know if this was asked already, but when will we see the vacuum solution?"
Wouldn't Tommy say we're launching it? Is it next week?
Within the coming weeks. We've been delayed now a little, so. And the hose, HOSE, is what we're waiting on now, I think, to
Gotcha.
get it going.
Yeah, we got our prototype packaging. We know how to ship it. We're actually going to ship it from here, I think. We got our prototype hose, so that we've approved the hose. So we're ordering that in. And I'd actually been testing some of the bags that we had were bleeding or leaching. The stuff was blowing through it because the vacuums have more power. But now we're in good shape. So we've ironed out all those issues. We have a base lineup of accessories which aren't great, but it's the best that we could find that exists. and then further development will come on accessories for it. But yeah, we should have everything ready to roll here for pre-order, not delivery, but pre-order in the next week or so.
Alex Doe says, what's the protocol for someone who wins the giveaway car but can't afford the TTL?
What is TTL?
Is that tax tag something?
Oh, well, you're out of luck. Sell it. I'll buy it from you for 50 grand. Yeah, I mean, pretty much no one is going to be able to afford that. So odds are whoever gets this thing is going to sell the thing. So your options are you could go out and get a loan. So you're going to have to pay your sales tax. You're going to get title. You're going to have to get insurance, and then you're going to have to pay federal income tax as well when you get it. And so, I mean, what you may want to do if you can qualify, go get yourself a title loan, get yourself a loan on the thing, and sort of say $100,000, and then you can make payments on that. I mean, but I know most people who get this thing, it's going to be too much, and so you're going to have to sell it. But I'm not crying here over. What if you win the car, sell it for $300,000, pay the $90,000 in tax, and pocket 200 G's? What's wrong with that?
It's a pretty good deal.
That's pretty life changing.
Detailing,
and you drive it around for a couple weeks while you're waiting to do that. That's freaking cool.
Detailing Garage says, what do you think about ammo? Do you have a relationship with Larry?
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Larry in a little while. When I was early on, I used to chat with him. We would meet up at SEMA every year and just kind of chat about life and business. I last few years, I saw him last year, just shook hands, but I was super busy. I'm sure he was too. Early on, I tried all the ammo products. I really liked Hydrate. So back at the time when I was using wax and I bought the entire line and used it, and there wasn't anything in the line that I thought was best in the world other than Hydrate. We were all using Hydrate at the time on top of Colonite, but Hydrate was basically a spray wax, and so having a spray wax with a coating really didn't transition over. I think his new Hydrate may work with coatings, or certainly his coating system, but in general, his product line is a blended line that he's having blended somewhere to his spec. Very similar to what any product line that doesn't make their own product. Like P&S makes their own product. Coach Chemi makes their own product. McGuire's largely makes their own product. They're not making the raw materials, but they're blending it, right? And so, but like product lines like ammo or like Adams is blending their own product, right? Largely, they bought B&B Blending, and so they're making their own product, and so I don't know who makes it. I've have some buddies who kind of told me where the ammo stuff was made, but I don't know that for a fact. I haven't seen it myself, but it's it's a blended product to his spec, and so what happens with that is that they send you a formulation, like with our drying aid. They send me a formulation of it, and I say, well, I don't like this or that, and you come up with a product line. And the chances of you putting together an amazing product for each category is virtually zero. And so if you take any product in any category with pretty much any line of products, you're going to find something better elsewhere. Especially on a bespoke line of products. Like if I were to come out with my own line of products today, I would obsess over it a lot and take time to develop it and choose. But your chances of you catching lightning in a bottle and getting like the very best product for interior care and exterior care, of each different category, wheel cleaner, car shampoo, is virtually nil, none. Especially if you're up against, McGuire's have been doing it for 100 years. Even Turtle Wax has been doing it for a really long time. So what I propose to do is aggregate products. And at the time, I really tried to talk Larry, and we really considered it. So he told me he considered it. Like, man, I think I would really love to be could I sell Hydrate? And his model is to sell direct. And so he doesn't sell anywhere else but on AmmoNYC.com. So he's selling direct. And he's like, look, if I violate this model, then I'm violating all of what I've told everybody all these years. And, and he's friends with tons of people in the industry. And so he said, look, I like you, but I don't like you that much. So, everybody wants to sell my stuff, and I'm sticking to my model. I'm sticking to the plan. And then he comes out with new stuff here and there. But in general, it's a good line of stuff. You can't go wrong. I just think that for pick any category, and I'll give you something that I like much better.
KY wants to know, are there skate decks for the giveaway? Yes, KY. They're just not in the store yet, but probably next week. Matt, Frankie wants to know, when are you going to visit your buddy Jay Leno's garage?
Well, Jay is not my buddy, but Chris is my buddy out there. Chris and Jeremy, who maintain the collection, and they're largely responsible for the Jay Leno car care line. I don't know. I don't have any plans to go out.
What was that? 3 years ago you went?
A couple of years, yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Dave says, as much as I would love to keep the giveaway GT3, I'd probably sell it to pay off my mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And I'm not going to be, I've had the car for 8 months. It's not like I've had it my whole life or something, So I think that's the more likely scenario. Somebody gets it. So this is probably what I would do if I won it. I would, let's say I'm 25 and I don't have $90,000 to pay the tax on the thing, and I really don't want to get a loan for it. I feel like this is ahead of schedule for me. I would get it. You're going to get it, say September 1st, you get the thing. And then I would I'd get a tax guy. So I would register it. So I'd pay the tax. I'd figure out a way to pay the tax and get it registered and get it insured. Right? I ought to be able to come up with that. And so I would do that. I would drive it around, make sure it was insured in case it got messed up, so I could always sell the thing, or always get my money out and pay the tax. I would drive it around. I would file an extension in April 15th. File an extension first. It was September 15th. You could file an extension too. And then I would, try to sell it, sometime in the summer, so that way I'm prepared to, pay my taxes in September, and so I got to enjoy the car for roughly a year. Got to sort of check that off my bucket list, and then I'd get my $200,000 and pay off my house, or get my $200,000, buy a $100,000 M3, and keep the other $100,000 to, if I had some debt or something, pay it off, or just set me up for the next stages of life. Or buy a Rolex, buy a home theater, get yourself an M3, buy a bunch of cool parts, and blow the money. Who cares?
Ice cream, just not the zebra cake ice cream. Cars JR says, we need some OG grilling barbecue utensils in the store.
Yeah. There really aren't any great ones.
Do you have any recommendations?
There's the Man Kitchen, MANN kitchen stuff, the spatulas. Hopefully he'll come out with some more stuff. He has the pepper canning, which is really awesome. It's a pepper grinder that grinds it's made out of anodized aluminum. And he came out with a salt grinder, but I think it's still in back order. It was pre-order only. But I haven't found great tongs. I always end up using the OXO stuff.
Let's see. Tinkering with Twins says, hey, Matt, do you have any future wet sanding products in the OG store? KXK Dynamics? ?
No, I mean, I don't do that enough, and I'm not an expert enough that I really decided to carry it. So I usually just suggest, go get it from CarPro. Sky's the limit, Car Care. He stocks all of Jason and the KXK stuff, Andy stuff, Red stuff.
Glamby6969 says, hey, Matt, what are your thoughts on the M340i? I'm looking for a four-door sports car, C63, E90, etc.
Yeah, people ask me that all the time, and I say, why not just get an M3? You're like right there. You're within thousands of getting a, because you really don't need all that bull crap on a loaded car. All the executive packages and all that stuff, because that's what people do. Is they're like, well, the difference between a loaded up M3 and a loaded up M340 is like $15,000, but the difference between a loaded up M340 and a base M3 is like $4,000. So $5,000. So I would much rather have a base M3 and versus the the upper level 3 Series.
All right, a couple more questions here. Ooh, a super chat just popped up. Kirby says, I have a ceramic coated E46 M3 in carbon black. Anytime it gets wet, I feel I get water spotting. I have resorted to a water spot remover every few washes. Is there anything you can do to minimize on black cars?
Yeah, I mean, maybe depending on the coating he's using, maybe put a topper on it, like Carpro Skin or let's see, Exo or something like that. Yeah, I mean, the black just pronounces everything. You just see everything so much more.
Greg Robinson wants to know, are PSB P3s enough to fill a 3-car garage?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you would want P5s, but I'm telling you, it'll fill it up. Keep the cost down. They're pretty freaking sweet.
Jeps Z says, hey, Matt, I just renewed my Inside the Hex and got some entries to the giveaway, but I live in Sweden. Should I contact support for you to remove me from the giveaway, or can I participate anyway?
Yeah, I think we probably pull out all the international stuff, so you don't have to worry about it.
Let's see. Darren says, have you ever thought about having a group of certified installers around the U.S. that are familiar with all your products and can professionally install all in homes?
Yeah, I mean, how would I vet them? I don't really want to get in the labor business. It's not worth it. I'd rather teach everybody how to do it, or at least how to hire somebody to do it, and rather than trying to get into that, because then I'm putting my stamp on somebody that I can't really control. Unless I went full on, I just don't want to do that. Dealing with all that labor.
Detailing Garage wants to know, how would you clean a very dirty headliner?
Ooh,
cheeseburger particles everywhere.
That's hard, man. Because headliners, oftentimes when you mess with them, I think I got that question wrong on the IDA test. But like headliners can be really, really problematic. You want to try not to touch them if you can help it, because if you steam it, you tend to separate. Yeah, I'm not the right guy to ask on that one, because I would just get a new headliner or get a new car. That's probably what I would do.
New car.
Headliners are real dicey, and I don't have any experience messing with them.
Evan Turner says, hey, Matt, have you tried any Japanese tools that you like? Just getting into Koken ratchets, and they are incredible.
Yeah, I ordered the KTC Nepros stuff, so I'm waiting on that. I haven't gotten any updates on it, so that's something I'm waiting on.
Luke Goodwin says, have you actually done the math on making all products available for the giveaway? Seems like you may actually make more overall.
Yeah, that's I just talked about earlier. Yeah, the math doesn't work.
You make more for a minute, but then in the end, in the long run, you pay for it in a bad way.
Yeah, and again, I'll just summarize. It goes back to the vast majority of our customers are the ones that are buying. So they're going to buy all the stuff that they would buy anyway, and so I'm just cannibalizing my future sales. The numbers don't add up.
Frankie M says if he wins the car, he would drive it for a month, then sell it and take the profits and invest it into real estate.
Yeah, there you go.
Josh Allen, Bill's quarterback, with us once again here. GIR, get it right. Tongs and kitchen utensils are pretty good. I looked them up, so that's what they look like. Huh. Silicone tongs. Thanks, Josh. Here's our super chat from our buddy Wags, Corey Wagner here. $20. Matt, that RS sounds heavenly. Man, the wizards at Dundon really got it figured out. I'm at 135 entries so far, plan to get to 1,000 by the end.
Nice.
Selling my 718 to pay the tax. There you go.
Yeah, I mean that's an option. You're just somebody to either keep that car, sell your other car, use that to pay the tax. Could be an option for people. I mean, really, you're getting a $300,000 car for whatever the tax ends up $80,000-$90,000 is what the tax ends up being. It's really good, man. Wait till you guys see the videos that Wob is putting together right now. The Dundon exhaust flyby videos and stuff, and then our documentary, and then we'll be doing a wash and drive. It's going to be awesome. So stay tuned. He's probably working on it right now.
Hey, man, how much should it cost you to do the PPF on your touring?
Hard to say because I don't pay. We always shoot videos with Ryan, and so he usually doesn't charge me very much. But I think normal ticket on that would probably have been around $7,500, $7,000 to do it.
All right, last question here. Any progress updates on the DI system?
I mentioned that earlier. We're waiting on the valve to come back, our prototype valve to come back. Once we get the valve, then we can start to get our prototypes back on the actual enclosure, because we need the valve in order to build the front piece. And then once that's done, then we can really start doing some real sophisticated testing and then launch. So, it takes time.
All right, that's all for today. We appreciate you guys with the questions. We will not be here next week. Matt will be in Canada, or on his way to Canada.
Yeah, so I'll be vlogging. The way I'm going to do it, I'm going to vlog. One day will be on the YouTube channel. The next day will be on Inside the Hex. Then YouTube, then Inside the Hex. So I'm there for 7-8 days. So we'll have 4 and 3 or 3 and 4, something like that. So I'm going to vlog the whole thing with the... I did something that people aren't going to like. I bought a first class ticket, and then I bought 3 coach tickets for the rest of my family. I was buying the tickets, and Michelle's like, I do not want to sit up there. I'm like, you've got to. Let's just put the kids like a row behind us, and I couldn't get it worked out. I'm like, we'll just put the kids back there, and we'll sit up here. She's like, I don't want to do that. She's like, I would rather you buy me something else than to pay whatever it was, $1,200 for a ticket or something like that. I'm like, this is like a 5-hour flight. I'm going to be freaking miserable. I'm using points to pay for this.
Right.
And so I got off a good deal on this, and that they're sitting in the back and I'm sitting in the front. Is that bad? Is that an evil thing to do? I mean,
well, she said she didn't want to sit up there.
I mean, I was paying for it, like literally clicking check out, and she's like, do not do that. And so that's how it worked out. Not a bad deal for me, huh?
You get peace and quiet and a nice seat and legroom.
Somehow I wouldn't be surprised if I end up back there. She's sitting up there and I'm stuck with the kids.
Yeah, I'll be interested to hear how that turns out.
But it's cool now because this as your kids get older, it's easier. It sucks when they're little. And they're really little. It's horrible. It's like pretty much the worst experience you could imagine. Kids start puking or crapping or, yelling, screaming. It's just terrible. And you get somewhere and your kid won't go to sleep, and you're now we got little grown-ups with us.
There you go. Travel tips.
Yeah.
From Matt Mormon. All right. Well, thank you guys again. We'll see you here. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
I'm going to go play with my new Snap-on haul. See you guys. Are these spoons from next door?